Nope. I got you. Nope. We're not. Nope. Um, no, it's in my head.
As
Now
soon
it's
as
in
you
my
say
head.
it,
Damn it.
as
Now it's in
soon
my head, and I can't get it
Oh,
out. Jay, I hate you so much.
you're
Um,
welcome.
as
You're
soon
welcome.
as we go live.
as soon as we go
Hi,
live.
everybody.
Thankfully, it didn't catch
Hello,
it.
everyone.
What's the joystick?
I'll tell you when you're older.
It comes from a joy box.
She's probably older than you. Greetings, wayward travelers. Come on in, and welcome to the Red Hare Inn. I'm your innkeeper and dungeon master, Logan Hanley, here to spin you and the adventurers you see here before you a yarn through the lands of Ecriom. Before we get started, got a few shout-outs, got a few sponsored things. Shout-outs to Brianna Flame for the amazing overlay, to Esoteric for the cartography of the lands of Ecriom that you can see behind me and in other things that I do, to Del Borovic, who does the amazing character art that is down below me. And then last but not least, to Adrian von Ziegler and the wonderful Renee Beauregard for composing music for this show. Whether it's just the background music that we have going that you can sometimes hear when it wants to work or when I make it loud enough, or Perrin strumming on his uke, or the wonderful intro music that Renee did for our intro here of the Ecriom Expeditions. Sponsors, we got Dragon Rock RPG Design, Daniel Lieberman, Renee Beauregard, bringing unique and creative content to the TTRPG community, whether it's writing their own content or collaborating with other creatives. Their goal is to bring their extensive expertise and experience to any of the materials that they work on. Next, Umbral Oculus Dice, Taryn Hackett, the purveyor of hand-poured and polished artisanal dice. As you can see right here, it's probably going to get blurred out. Oh. It worked that time. No. All right. Taryn and Umbral Oculus are conjuring relics from beyond the veil for your players to enjoy at their tables. Use code all caps Red Hare Inn for 10% off at the Umbral Oculus Dice Store. Today we are giving away this beautiful, and I did not do this on purpose, and now that I realize, this beautiful, like, it's on our social media, so you can't see, it's pink, and it's got little gold flecks in it, and I just realized now it's very Eden-esque, which is almost fitting for tonight. But yeah, put in the word barefoot, no other iterations other than B-A-R-E foot, F-O-O-T, into chat, or else I swear I will smite y'all. Yeah, next. Adventures in 3D. Richard is the purveyor of amazingly crafted and finely printed 3D miniatures. Use the code Barefoot15 for 15% off any purchases at his, I think it's an Etsy store. And then last but not least, our good friends over at the Initiative Order. TO is a collective of passionate TTRPG players and creators that want to help the community thrive and grow. The main goal of TO is to explore and experience all types of gaming systems while creating an inclusive community for all our players and viewers. They are extremely wonderful. I had the pleasure of watching our wonderful resident druid here do some horror things on Sunday that I'm always amazed at. But yeah, and now, folks, without further ado, without any hesitation, the spectacular cast of the Ecriom Expeditions, the Barefoot Bandits themselves. Eden, take it away.
Hi everybody, Taryn Hackett, also known as Valrook across the socials. I am a generally creative human and eldritch entity feeding on the pain of my friends, but I'm also a dice maker under the moniker of Umbral Oculus Dice, UO_dice on the Instagram, link in bio. I do have dice in stock at the moment, but yeah, I am over on the Initiative Order every other Sunday for Far Realms, my Cult Divinity Lost homebrew campaign, where I lead a bunch of lost souls beyond the veil and through hellish plains, and the veil is slowly getting peeled back, and they're slowly seeing the world for what it truly is, and I'm really excited, and they are confused as shit, and that's the best part. But that's me. And today I'm playing Eden, and I am a much nicer person than the person paying me.
I mean, it's well said. Inaccurate, if I'm going to be honest.
There's a lot of things that I'm skeptical about.
It's a secret. People don't need to know that I'm nice.
People, well, whatever. Hi, everybody. I'm Renee Beauregard. I'm one half of Dragon Rock RPG Design. You can find us at Dragon Rock RPG on Facebook and Twitter, and Dragon Rock RPG Design on Instagram. We recently released our Ranger supplement, Ranger Subclasses Volume 1, which you can find on DM's Guild along with all of our other material. You could just search Dragon Rock RPG, and you'll find all of our materials there. So because Matthew Mercer decided to leave Rangers out of the Taldore Reborn campaign guide, I decided that we were going to put out some new Rangers because it was lacking. No offense, Matt. But go and check those out. You can play the Lightkeeper, the Weave Guardian, and the Archaeologist, all of which are very fun subclasses that I think that most people will enjoy. Give it a rating and a review because it's pay what you want, so it's technically free. We would just appreciate any feedback that you guys have so we know what you guys want in future. And without further ado, I hand this off to my beautiful sister.
Why, thank you. And good evening, everybody, and happy Mardi Gras. I am Utahime, and I am a cosplayer and streamer and TTRPG performer. If you are interested in seeing what shenanigans I get up to on a weekly basis, please be sure to follow me at Utahime Cosplay, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, here on Twitch, where I occasionally stream on my own channel, and Brianna DeCoster on Twitter. Over to the gentleman below.
Sure,
Hi,
we'll do.
everyone.
Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna do Ronan because that's below
Oh, do
Fenora.
Ronan. Okay, we do Ronan. That's good. We do Ronan.
Sorry, I'm like, I forget who's below.
I was like, which direction are we pointing? I don't know.
I'm like, Ronan is technically below me, but I didn't know. I didn't pay attention.
Just go.
What's Ronan?
Yeah.
What's a Ronan? Nobody knows. That's the beauty of Ronan.
Oh, is it Matt? You want me to go? I'm Ronan. I'm working on 3 hours of sleep, and yes, I still look this good. Take it away.
What can he say? Take it away. What can he say?
Oh my
It's
god, this
Jay.
day. It's Jay. Casual. You can find me on all
Of
social media
course.
at Just Too Casual and Casual Creativity over on Twitch. Variety streamer, all around entertainer, doing all kinds of gaming and game design. What kind of games am I designing? Well, right now I'm working on the anime-inspired TTRPG Deep Breath, where magic meets technology inspired by anime, manga, and JRPGs in a most fantastic way, including the fact that a starter adventure is about to be ready. So you can check out all information on Deep Breath, stuff like that, at Deep Breath RPG on Instagram and Twitter, and follow our website for updates to maybe get a chance at a free sample adventure of your own at deepbreathrpg.com. That's DEEP bread THRPG.com. But today I am playing Corvus, the one who walks through the dark so that others may shine in the light.
And last but not least, the wonderful Butterball, the Chaos Goblin himself, Eddie.
And I'm going to go ahead and casually try to follow up that majesty right there. Hi, everyone. I'm Eddie the Discount Bard, your humble adventurer, storyteller, creating adventures and participating in wonderful stories to hopefully bring just a little bit of light to your day. You can normally find me on twitch.tv/discountbard, where I do variety content. Usually it's Sea of Thieves. Otherwise, it could be other things like miniature painting or cooking, depending on what my hyperfixation is at that current point in time.
But
Otherwise, this week we're doing Elden Ring, so that's going to be super exciting. Let's see how long I spend on the actual character creation itself and if I ever actually get to play the game. But beyond that, today I am here as Art, our lovely little Butterball Goblin Artificer, who is also known to respond to, "Oh God, what now?" And I'll pass it on over to our lovely DM.
Yes. Thank you, Art. Well, my friends, it's finally time. Come on in, take a seat, grab a pint, and let's adventure together on tonight's session of the Ecriom Expeditions.
Why did you tell me that? I didn't need to know that that's what a joystick was.
Huh?
It's important that you know how to get control.
Just make sure you push all the right buttons in the right order.
What's the button? No.
We're live.
Up, down, down, left, right, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Oh, okay, that one I appreciate. All right, welcome back.
How do you?
Just give me like 20 minutes, and then y'all will be fucking sorry for all this shit. Restless sleep and nightmares wake Hale in the early morning, as the gray light of dawn was slowly starting to break. Hale, shifting, wakes Eden, and the pair, soon followed by the ever-listening Corvus, journey to the nearby orchard to pick apples for their morning meal. After some time of chatting, the trio arrive back to camp to find a giddy Fenara. It's her birthday, and after a brief celebration, the party continues their trek through the muck and mire of the Heartscars. Their cart eventually falters again, but some clever cantrips, combined with the crack of Corvus's whip, lead to the party pulling the cart and Dusky free. They traveled on for the greater part of the day before reaching a vast body of water, a small pond in the greater scheme of the Heartscars. Not wishing to waste time going around, they looked for a way across. Corvus found an illusionary bridge, invisible to the naked eye, but not to his keen insight. And leaving their newly found cart and furry companion behind, they made the journey to the opposite side. As they neared the opposite end, the water shifted and a bog devil leapt from the water, attacking the party. A brief fight ensued, with Corvus leaping from the bridge, pulling the devil into the water below as he did so. All the while, the party of spellcasters that remained tried frantically to get vantage of the creature through the splashing and sloshing of the bog. A frustrated Hale eventually sits down and began making greeting cards, one for his newly adopted friend Corvus, and the other for Fenara for her birthday. While his companions continued to fight and eventually dispatch the creature. The bout finished, the party made their final trek on foot, ending their journey at a dense cluster of brambles and thorns, with the boughs of willow trees hanging overhead. A familiar sense coming over the little druid Eden, and as she reached for the thorns, a grizzled face and a red cap greeted the party, welcoming the lady to this sanctuary. The creature then began escorting the party through the parting bramble and thorn. They followed. And as we pick up today, you have now gone on for maybe, about a dozen or so feet, and as you do, you watch behind you as the brambles and thorns close. A quick left, quick right, almost in a snaking pattern as you continue on. The thorns only parting enough for you to get by before shutting in behind you. Your stout and grizzled and red-capped companion leading the way, just kind of humming to himself, his thick iron boots on the ground as he's making his way forward. Eventually, the brambles and thorns open and separate, and you come to a small alcove. Two giant willows stand before you, a solid wall of bark and tree and branch. Off to your left, you can see that the brambles open in almost like an alcove, with what seems to be a bar of some sorts, or at least like an opening, a window to look within. He leads you over there, and very quickly,
if you have any weapons or belongings, this is where I would suggest that you lay them. The Lord doesn't like weapons in his domain.
When you say the Lord,
Yes.
does it have a name?
Well, while there are several lords and ladies like yourself that enter this place, Relkath himself is the main presider.
And Eden will immediately turn back to Fenara, and you can see just like what was like intense fear kind of like diffuse slightly, and then look back. Good to know. Does Eden recall that name?
Go ahead and make a either history or nature check.
Oh, history is real bad. I'm not doing that one. Nature is slightly better. So we're gonna do nature, and that's a dirty 20.
With a dirty 20, you would recognize the name only because your sisters had mentioned them a few times. Relkath is known as Relkath of the Infinite Branches, an Archfey that's connected to both the material plane and the Feywild through the roots of the trees and plants that grow on the earth.
Would he be sort of a lore-based or fictitious sort of creature that I would have heard of, like in like stories and stuff like that, or?
You know what? Being from Alverton, you would have heard of like tree ents and ents. I refer to them mostly as ents because of my background with Lord of the Rings. But ents and tree ents are rare sightings, especially in Cantor. But in Alverton, where you're so close to the Wolf's Wood, there are sometimes stories of these giant arboreal beings wandering the forest.
It's just like a Bigfoot style story. Like no one that I would have known seen them. It's just like everybody's heard of them, talk about them, that sort of thing.
Correct. It's more of like a, hey, lumberers, don't chop down too many trees, because if you do, this giant tree monster is going to come kill you.
Gotcha.
It's more, semi-folksy, scare people, but more of like respect the forest kind of way.
Right. Listen, and I'm gonna cast Friends on the red cap. So for the next minute, I have advantage on all charisma checks directed at the red cap. I just want to know, what is there anything you can tell us about Relkath that there, he might not want out of his purview?
Make a persuasion check there.
Thank you. 23.
Well, he built this place that he wouldn't want out of his purview. Well, he's rather excited to see her, and he points to Eden. They have a lot to talk about, apparently, or at least some tidbits of information spread here and there.
Why would that be?
He's so he has this place. He kind of made another place just like this a little farther north that she knows about. So it's like, hey, you were at my old home, this is my other home. Like, what do you think? Type of deal.
Oh, so he's like asking her for her interior design opinion?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Like, how's the infrastructure of my old home look since I left it? Type of deal.
Right. Now, I'm sorry, we didn't get your name.
I am Nadar.
Nadar. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you can see, like, his beard goes down to almost like it's barely scraping the top of the floor, the forest floor below you. And then he motions over to the alcove, and this is Seika, and you can see another red cap. Their beard almost like they've tried to cut it in several different spots, not really knowing where to start, like to shave, and then we're kind of like, all right, screw it. Little less grizzle, little younger. Seika will take your belongings, anything that would be harmful. or dangerous.
Well, I mean, and he kind of like he puts his hand on the rapier that he carries with him. This is primarily decorative. There's no real harm for this. And he pulls up the loot. I'm a storyteller. I don't. They have need. It's just for show.
Oh, Pine's gonna love that. The Seika kind of points. We've been looking for another bard to play music. Pine's good, but they're it gets stale. We live for a while, and same music gets boring.
Yeah.
Need some rotation.
I have a very important question, though. Will we get our stuff back?
Oh, yes, 100%, yes.
I'm kind of partial to my club. I made it myself, and it's kind of pretty.
That is very nice for a club. I only know just like big branch and hit people type of club, but that one has got some flavor to it. I like it.
Like I said, if you break it, I'm gonna break you.
Oh no, Nadar has put that past behind him.
Quick point
Art.
of interest. I'm here, right?
Yeah. You've been following
cool.
the party along this whole time.
Cool. Just
Yep.
making sure. So Art is casually picking his teeth with a rather fancy-looking dagger with a head of a lion on the pommel. Oh, just fancy toothpick.
Deception check.
Well, I have a -1 to persuasion, so that'll be 10.
Yeah, no. And he like pulls out his sickle, not in like a menacing way, but like, this toothpick too. Yeah.
Oh, I like yours.
The people from they're very perceptive.
Jonah's gonna grab Eden's just sort of shoulder. Do you want to step over here for just a second? Just I gotta ask a question.
Sure. Just a second. We need a private moment.
Of course, lady.
Just a quick word or quick question. What? That's it. That's the question.
Well, I'm from this place, and I left it, and it's called the Briar. And there's...
Hence the of the briar. That makes sense. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. And there's people that live in there with me that are looking for me because I kind of just left. Because I think they might be bad people.
Yeah, sweetie. I didn't want to judge, but I'm getting really like negative vibes being here.
They're a little scary. That's why I'm gonna play nice. Because the stuff I said about people cutting your fingers off and things. See, where I was from, they like grew back afterwards. But I don't know if that's the same here.
Okay,
So...
I thought that was turn of phrase.
Oh no, if you lie, they take your pinky.
Okay. Noted. I'm
They'll eat
okay.
it.
Okay. Well, then we don't lie, because
No.
pinkies are great.
I like mine. This is like my third one.
Yeah, I've already had way too many close calls with almost losing one of these of my own means. I don't need someone else taking it from me.
I won't let them take anything from you.
So,
I mean, we'll be fine.
do you know why he just randomly wanted to meet you here now? I mean,
know.
you think he's
I've
looking
never
for?
met him before, And
So he's not one of the ones that was with you before.
I don't think so. I just don't know if he's trying to help them.
Right. It does seem kind of ominous that he just appeared where we are.
They have lots of places like this to talk. They, meaning people from places like I'm from, they
Sure.
hide them in the forests where people don't go. And then they use scary monsters and stuff to keep them away so that stupid people and evil humans will leave them alone.
Sure. Okay. Well, we can get through this. I just want to know where you were, headspace wise.
I'm terrified.
Aiden, and Fanara's gonna like kind of tug on her sleeve.
Yeah?
About what we talked about a little ways ago. Will you let me know if you need my assistance?
I will give you a signal. I'll be like, because I don't think this is totally related yet.
All right.
Although now that I think about it, and like Eden will lean in and whisper, actually now that I think about it, if what I did over there would be intruding on his thing, that could be trouble. I don't know though, but just if you see something and you're like, oh, this is bad juju because I can tell dots connecting, then we'll.
What thing did you do? What thing did you do, sweetie?
Oh, I did nothing.
No, you just said you did.
No, we're just talking girl talk, you know.
I went to the bathroom earlier.
Just, you know, a little bit of this and that, and you know.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
So going to the bathroom.
Well,
Okay.
you know that, ladies, sometimes we go to the bathroom together and we have different private conversations. It's kind of like one of those times. We have our own little conversation thing going on. So don't you worry your head about it, right?
Yeah.
What she's trying to tell you, Jonah, is that they're gonna be doing this for quite a while, and if you bother with it, you're just gonna end up waiting.
Okay. So I'll turn to the two gentlemen. I have no weapons. I am an academic. It's a pleasure to meet you. I love the hats. Those are great. And this may be a misunderstanding. It sounds like she was just going to the restroom. I don't know how that works for you, but...
I don't know. They
You know,
don't even know about my bathroom habit.
Nadar looks over at Sek and says, I'm just here to
You didn't hear that.
take things that that may be dangerous. So please.
Here you go. This isn't really dangerous because I actually kind of sort of broke it a little bit. So here you go. And she's going to hand over her crossbow. That's basically now the string is broken. It's looking a little jacked.
Thank you.
So, you probably need the bolts too. There you go.
Yep. Thank you. And takes it and kind of like you can see that they're putting like almost like a tag with it. Moving around.
Clovis. They're not gonna let us in there unless they gave me their word. And you guys know what happens if you lie, right? She's talking to the like red caps. Right? You said you wouldn't steal them, and you know what happens if you lie.
I know exactly what happens if I lie, lady. Would not dare the anger of one more powerful than I.
You can leave your stuff.
Corvus takes out the rapier, sets it. The two daggers, sets it down. The hand crossbow, sets it down. The heavy crossbow, sets it down. 40 bolts, sets it down. I keep my armor.
Yes.
This is not decorative, and Perrin like pulls out a dagger and like throws it into the ground.
Fanara did not mention her dagger, by the way.
Okay. If there's anything you're gonna keep on you, or that you are attempting to keep on you, make a deception check.
So
yeah.
mine's not a deception, but technically my whip, because my whip is my chain, which is my belt and my bracelets.
Make
Question.
for Corvus, for you, make a stealth check. I'll say with disadvantage because they're on you. Like that, because you can visibly see that there's chains and stuff on you.
Yeah.
Art.
Question. Is it still deception if you earnestly do not believe it to be harmful?
I'll allow persuasion. I'll take
I
persuasion.
have
Well, what were
grenades,
you?
But they're harmless.
Yeah, what are you? What I mean, it depends. What are you?
I have a coat full of things. That's
If the way that they're looking at it, they are. You get the vibe that they're looking for weapons. They're not looking for items. They're looking more for weapons.
cool. So
Yeah.
I will then, coyly put down my toothpick.
Thank you.
Thank you. And two of them.
One last request.
And Nadar walks up between Corvus and Jonah.
Out of respect for the other folks of my kin, may we take your boots to store as well. The others will get jealous and they may attack you.
I know your fancy footwear would screw you over.
They can choose to attack, and I will defend myself as such.
Corvus, you really should just oblige.
You had to ask when I was Jonah, didn't you?
Of
course, yeah. No problem.
Cool.
Corvus, the ground's really soft.
Until you step upon a trap, a spike, a bramble patch.
Oh no,
No brambles in my path.
The ground is perfect. Relcath ensures it.
Art is gonna walk over to Corvus and sit down on the ground and then start unraveling the foot wrap from his foot. It's maybe not quite the same, but it's better than nothing.
Oh, those are fine. Those are not boots.
And then Corvus will undo the buckles to the boots, revealing like scars all along, like from his feet all the way up his legs. And then we'll take the wraps and start to wrap his feet to cover.
Okay.
They
Jonah
may smell slightly of soot.
just has the pastiest Ichabod Crane legs you've ever seen in your life.
All right, so they take your boots, they bring them in the back with all the other stuff. Finnara, Nadar kind of just taps you.
Your knife, miss.
Oh, silly me, absent mind. And then she's gonna kind of like hike up her dress on one side, on her right leg, and then she's gonna remove the dagger that was placed there and hand it over.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine. Just want to make sure everybody stays safe.
And they turn. Nadar turns toward.
Forgot about these. And Art's gonna drop on the table a light crossbow and an interesting curved piece of wood. Forgot about those.
Okay. Thank you.
And then Nadar turns toward you, Perrin.
How can a bard perform without having a little panache? You can, of course, keep your ornamental rapier, Lord.
Right, it's just so when I have to do the heroic stories, I can pull it out and whip it around and portray the hero that I am I'm telling a story about the guy.
And I promise, everybody loves Perrin stories. He's one of the best storytellers and singers around.
Stop it.
Here, and Art's gonna fiddle with your rapier with his tinkerer tools. Just a quick little ding, 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 ding. Quick, demonstrate.
Absolutely. And then he like reaches for the handle and he just like whoosh, real quick like drops down into like a very like a Michael Flatley kind of like pose, like on one knee, kind of like out. The hero struck down the mighty dragon, and he was hailed across the lands as the greatest hero he'd ever known. What happens to the rapier?
With every flick that you gave it, it gives a very, Hollywood swing every movement you make with it.
Love it. Perfect. It's just he moves every time. The first time he hears it, he just kind of like pauses, and then he uses it as like an accent for like the words that he says, and it's like swing, like in between each phrase.
Nadar is just visually impressed, and Seika's, oh, you're for sure Pine's gonna be so angry. But thank you. I will make sure I hold these specially. Is there a name we may take this under?
Sure. It's Perrin Hopesinger.
Thank you. And write it down real quick and put it with your stuff. No. Nadar, you can show him now. You can show him the way in. And Nadar's, oh yes, right this way. And brings you, like, starts walking you guys toward the door, or toward this giant, like, oaken or willow wall that's there. Eden, Finara, Jonah, what's your passive insight or passive perception? And Corvus, what's your passive perception?
19.
22.
19, 22. Art, what's Art's passive?
My passive, 13.
13? Okay, and Art. Okay. So the four of you, as you're walking by, hear Seika in the background going, oh my gosh, they really fell for it. Finally, I got a new pair of boots. And you can start hearing the clicking, Corvus, of your boots as the latches are now being opened, and it looks like this red cap is.
Lean back.
Oh.
We'll get them back.
Yeah, I don't think that Corvus will be really happy.
We'll get it back. He made a lie. We'll fix it.
Ian, make a insight check.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, that is a 21.
Technically, Seika did not lie.
Balls.
Seika said, may I take your boots? And Corvus and Jonah both said, yes, you may, and gave up their boots. So those boots, as you would know, as your sisters have taught you, now belong to Seika.
Yeah. Eden's going to keep that to Eden's going to keep that to herself, because inside she's like, oh shit. And we'll continue to walk, because Eden very well knows the laws of the things.
Well, at least with my crossbow, it's broken already, so.
How far away is this happening? Like, it's still only like.
You guys are like from that little alcove to where this wall is probably maybe about like 30, 40 feet.
So hearing that, because Corvus never agreed. Corvus just took off the boots and they picked them up, which means by definition they were never handed over. Corvus is going to, hearing them saying that, goes to take his boots.
Corvus, we got to go in. I can't wait. I have to.
Mr. Gentleman, we did hear what you said, and it's a little tricksy.
My lady, oh sorry, my lady, you didn't explain to them the laws here, did you? Okay, well, in that case, I, Seika, will do the duties as the Fae that knows more about Fae than a Fae lady, apparently.
Excuse you. And Eden's eyes will begin to wash over black as the irises turn red.
Make
This is-
a intimidation check.
Okay, that's a natural 20 on the die for a -1, so that's a 19.
Seika immediately shrinks and is peering over the edge.
Maybe I did not tell them because I did not expect everyone to take things from them.
Are you using fancy words? Are you doing
It was a
wordplay?
turn of phrase.
No,
you have
not
to be
not
you
you.
have to be very careful what you say to them, because
Right.
whatever Jonah, your boots are gone. You agreed. They said may they take them, and you said yes, and you gave them your boots.
Right, and I turn to the red cap. Listen, it's clear that you know that we are not from here, and you
They
Or
took
kind
advantage
of.
of you.
you're kind of obliged to explain the laws of the place that you exist within. I understand that we're traveling with her, but you're from here.
It's fine. If they don't want to be hospitable to guests, then that is
No,
their
but
purview.
We were always taught at the end, listen, you have to explain your policies straight up. You can't be keeping secrets
I don't
and
disagree,
people don't
but-
understand what's
That's-
going on.
But that is not how that works here.
Right.
Well, that's horrible hospitality. That's not even hospitality right
It's-
there.
It's okay.
It's
I'm
not
not.
legal.
I'm not mad. It's fine. I lesson learned, and now it won't happen again.
Well, I mean, thank you, Jonah. But and then I point. He doesn't even look at him. He just points to Corvus and just says, "This is an entirely different situation."
Yes.
Saika,
Yes.
I believe that you entered a faulty contract in the fact that you did not explain how your laws work in these lands.
While I understand that, while I did not receive verbal confirmation, the dropping of the boots were indeed a non-verbal confirmation that they were relinquishing the property of said boots to me. So if you have any complaints, you may talk to Relkath himself.
Then let
For
me
right
speak
now,
on
I'm gonna enjoy and Seika flips up and does a handstand. These and is just swinging their feet with Corvus's boots on the end, and when they flip back to being on their feet, the window closes.
Well,
And
then
What is this window made of?
Eden will seize Corvus step. Look, we'll talk to Relkath and we'll get them back.
And you'll see Corvus look at you. My mother made those for me.
I promise we will get them back.
Yes, right. We also, and he kind of leans over to Eden. You did particularly say and request that anything we gave them would be returned. So there is that kind of subtext in the contract of conversation here. I believe we have a leg to stand on. And he turns to
So-
Corvus and he says, "I understand. When you treasuring the things that your mother made you. If anyone."
Also, Eden, you are now far and away the single most intelligent person in this group. So we are going to rely on you to sort of nip that sort of stuff in the bud. And any kind of red flags that you get, even if they're maybe not seen to fruition, maybe just go ahead and tell one of us so that we can sort of collectively act on it, because you are the brains of this operation.
It's your home.
And as my brother Perrin just said, we understand how much family belongings mean, and we'll make sure to help you.
I promise.
I will try to say, I have one last loophole to attempt to see if Corvus was right. When Corvus was handing over items, Corvus did distinctly say, "However, I will keep my armor, and my boots are armored." Just want to make sure I put every nugget in there
We'll
for
barter.
later.
I promise we will talk to Relcat to get your stuff back.
Kind of a mute point right now.
Nadar, are you leading the way?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
As
And
follows.
he walks up to this wall.
A bit before I knock, is there a name that you would like me to introduce you as, lady?
Eden of the Briar.
Okay. Well, welcome, Lady Eden, to the Willow Borough.
And Nadar will bang on the door just thum, 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 3 times, and you'll watch as the leaves the branches like lift up, and as they do, the bark between the two, or that's connecting the 2 trees, starts to separate very, very slowly. And as it opens, you can see a small, almost like a rolling hill, but it's a staircase descending down with these really ornately, almost like rose imbued railings on either side. Below, you see a nice little glen of grass, a small table with a bunch of different cakes and pastries and things like that on it. You see a corner over on one side where a gnome is shaking up and making drinks of some sort. A small waterfall is falling off over the end, and there's a little veranda off to one side. Like, it's a very little quaint little place that is populated, as you can see, with quite a lot of people. You can see off to one corner a group that almost looks goblinoid in nature. You're not quite sure. Off to another, you can see Eladrin, or these like almost elven humanoids with different shades. Ones are like reds and oranges, the others are greens and vibrant, almost like vibrant purples, and then you have ones that are almost colorless, as if dawned and covered in snow. You see standing on the chair next to the cake table this satyr playing pipes, and this is where this music is coming from, this very just kind of soft, what is it? I think Peter Pan uses. Pan flute. There we go. Pan flute that's playing in the distance. And when the doors open, they all kind of stop for a second and turn, and Nadar just kind of like, he's not wearing a whole lot, like he has clothes on, but like none of it is really good, and he's like trying to make himself look presentable real quick.
My lords and ladies, Lady Eden of the Briar, and party.
And he just kind of motions for the 6 of you to make their way down.
I will walk in beside Eden, just strumming away, playing the lute, and around me are cherry blossom petals.
Anara's going to take the tail end of the group. She's going to be kind of observing and trying to actually lip read different conversations depending on the table, the groups.
Okay. Make a perception check for me, and then remind me what languages you know. I know Common, and I think Elvish is one of them. Halfling.
Dwarvish, Goblin, Halfling.
Wow.
But like, if anyone, yeah, a lot. That is a nat 20, and then are we adding? You said perception.
Perception.
That would be 25.
25. Noted. Give me a second. Do a performance check for me, Perrin. For just playing as you're walking down. And then Eden, did you have something?
Yeah, so Eden will absolutely, as he says, Eden of the Briar, like, she's absolutely, like, scanning the room kind of to see people's responses.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and give me a no, not perception. Insight. This is an insight check. You're reading people.
Okay, that's the same thing. It's an 18.
18. All right. So we'll go around in a circle. 8. Finara, looking around, you see way off, like you can make out bits and pieces of people speaking in common. More of like who are these, like who are these like material worlders, like these people from the material plane coming in here and like just walking in here with a title like that. The group of those very colorful and bright, like the multicolored elves that you saw, are all you don't know what language they're speaking, but by the looks on their faces, they kind of have like a.
Oh, and
They're-
also
they're
too,
pretty
I know little bits of and pieces of Infernal.
Of Infernal.
So
They are not
yes,
speaking.
I've been learning.
Good. They're not speaking Infernal, unfortunately. But yeah, you can kind of pick bits and pieces. A lot of conversation are like, who are these new people? These
But
people
nothing
seem
pertaining to
interesting.
Eden.
Nothing pertaining to like
Okay.
to Eden directly that you can see. The goblins are speaking what you can tell to be goblinoid or goblin. There are some offshoots where like there are words you don't quite understand or can't make out, but they're particularly interested in art, it seems like. And for reference, these guys have a little bit more of a like their coloration is like art is typical, like the yellowy green, but they are more of like the olive, like almost what you guys would recognize as half work, like deep olive greens, almost some purples. There are smaller goblins that are, or goblinoids that are like arts size, but then you can see a handful that are standing a little bit bigger, broader chested, a couple heads taller than their smaller companions. Perrin, your performance check.
22.
22?
22.
22. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, to the point where the satyr, who you can easily identify as Pine, just flat out stops playing their pan flute like mid playthrough and just go like.
Do I
And,
see
like-
them? Do I see them?
Oh yeah,
playing
it's
flute?
very visible. Like he's standing on top of a chair, very like just out there, and just flat out just stops, and like the pan flute drops a little, and they're not glaring at you, but it's kind of like, who's this asshole that's playing in my bar type of look.
The cherry blossom petals stop as I literally hurl the lute around my back with like, so it kind of like just sticks to my back as I like throw it around, and I immediately, like in a hot minute, just pull up the pan flute and start playing the pan flute instead. And I am going to create a fucking mess here tonight, folks, and it is going to be juicy.
You watch as he's staring at you, and his eyes go to like, oh, who's this guy who thinks he can come to just straight up like the pan flute slips from his hand, and he's like, oh, and he starts stumbling, and like, actually I'm gonna roll for it. Die I'm giving away. That was a 4. He like is going to stumble and just completely just eat shit as the chair tips over and he falls to the ground and kind of does like a little roll before kind of like just getting up and like slicking his hair back real quick and I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't you worry. Everything's all right. And just kind of puts his pan flute away and walks over to the bar. Eden with a 18. You notice that there's an individual off over by where the waterfall is. There's like a small, oh my god, what's it called? Gazebo near the waterfall. But there's an individual, when he hears your name, is like, they're audibly looking and tracking you, and their body language is very like, keep an eye on this person. They're wearing a kilt with red and green and yellow tartan, a very simple like tunic, like this kind of shirt, like linen shirt over it. They have a belt on one hip. They're carrying what looks to be a short sword, and on their back they have a quiver of arrows and longbow. The hair is like this really like thick auburn hair that goes down past the top of the shoulders. Art. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. Just for the sake of curiosity, do I happen to recognize any of the goblins that we're seeing as we go into this room?
These are goblins, like, tribally or like clan-wise, because, you know, that's how you've grown up. You haven't seen another group of goblins that look like these.
Okay.
Ever. Jonah.
All right, so Jonah will sense the apprehension in Eden, and I will hook my arm sort of under hers, and lean in. And it's been forever since I've been to a party. Let's go. And I'll sort of make a beeline straight for the sort of cake table, and you gotta look like you belong, even if you're nervous, right? Just get a feel for the room.
This is much prettier than where I'm from.
It's lovely. It doesn't look like they're eating pinkies, so let's try some cake.
Hey, Art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's that table over there. They kind of look kind of like distant cousins, you know, as far as like goblin-ish, you know. They seem to be really interested in you. Like they were like whispering. I couldn't make out everything, some bits and pieces here and there, but at least they seemed to really take a liking to shining to you.
Well, I don't know about that. They're different than anyone else like me that I've ever seen. They're not quite like me. They're different.
Yeah, that's what I was, you know, like distant cousins, you know, kind of not necessarily the same, but there was a little bit that they were speaking that sounded familiar. Just, I don't know. I couldn't figure out everything, but just be aware that some people are watching you as well.
Familiar? How?
Well, picking up the language, I mean.
Well, I'll keep my eyes out and ears.
Nadar.
Yes, lady.
Where's Relkath?
Relkath is, kind of everywhere, my lady. Whether or not they actually show up is a completely other thing. This home, the Borough, is a way station for any of our kind who need rest and respite from the material world.
I'm
So
not
we were
gonna lie,
invited-
it's kind of nice.
But we were invited to a party so that she can meet somebody who may or may not ever be here.
Oh, I'm sure Relkath will make his presence known in time. I cannot speak for him, nor will I ever. His power is above anything I can comprehend. And I know, like, half the alphabet, so, yeah.
Should we be apprehensive about the cake? Should I know anything as a human, as an outsider, before I go eat?
No, stay away from anything that's, well, not the cake, but stay away from, things that are really bright or really colorful or look poisonous. We have a lot higher tolerance than you folk do.
You'd be surprised.
And he points over, like, right on the edge of the pool. There's, like, two humans just sitting there, like, kicking and splashing in the water.
Yeah, they're high as kites right now.
That's really funny. Did they eat the blossoms too?
They ate the blossoms, and then when those didn't have an effect, they decided to eat the mushrooms. Pine told them it was a bad idea, but you know humans, they don't listen.
This one time.
And then he, like, eyes, as soon as he says that, he, like, looks directly at you, Jonah, and is just like...
Jonah's smarter than that. But one time,
I don't know. Win in Alberton, right? That's what they say.
No, don't do that. Bella, she was like trying to have fun because we were bored one day, and she was like, "Do you want to have fun?" And so she let this wandering human into the briar, and he ate one, and it was really funny because he ran around in circles for like 6 hours.
Well, I'm actually not really that much for food. It's really beautiful, but that actually does sound kind of interesting.
You should probably eat the food.
I don't really
I don't
eat.
know if you.
Definitely don't do it on an empty stomach.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
I don't know.
Art is wolfing down.
I have to go though. If you need anything,
That's okay.
just like scream "Red Cap" at the top of your lungs, and myself or one of my associates will come and help you.
Okay. Hey, did you say that there are people like you here? My Bella said that that's where you came from. People like you came from. Like a long time ago. Like that, I heard stories that like little green people like you, and then she like touches his pointy ears. They said that like sort of like people like you came from kind of like other Fae like long time ago.
Oh, I guess I
Maybe
didn't really
it's
look.
true. I don't know.
Never really looked too much into my history. I guess I spend too much time looking forward. I don't typically look at the past.
I don't remember the past
Twice.
much. Huh?
But that's they seem interesting.
Mm-hmm. They do. Everybody here seems really interesting. There's a lot more people here, than where I'm from. It's a little different than what I'm used to.
But it's
Like-
Surprisingly
familiar.
not as fey as I anticipated, if I'm being honest.
This is very. Where I'm from, the ground is horrible and pokey, but you're not allowed to wear shoes, and everything is dead. And there's just a few flowers. But this is much nicer. This is more colorful, and
Well,
I mean,
yeah, if they need to add a little bit more color, I mean, you're here. You make pretty things.
thank you. That's why there are pretty things where I'm from, because it would make me sad looking around at everything, and sometimes it was pretty, but it was always like a dream.
You make your way down the stairs to the cake. If you guys already haven't, I would assume
Yeah.
because of Art's stuffed face that you've at least made it to the cake. They have. Yes, go for it.
Fanara is looking to see where Corvus is.
Oh yes, Corvus. What are you doing?
Corvus is just following behind with a little bit of a distance, arms crossed and grumpy as hell.
Fanara's gonna hang back because she was already hanging back from the group to begin with when she was doing her lip reading. Corvus,
Mm.
are you doing a little bit better?
I
Are you
am
still
in
kind of sore?
search of this flower, and we are on a diversion that does not aid to our mission. My boots have been taken, and we are on a land that requires no need for us to be here.
I can understand. It's. I thought that I would just have a normal sort of birthday, but it seems like it's a little bit more eventful for sure. But I really do apologize for your boots. Your mama made them, and I know that you must be really upset about it. But Eden did promise, and we did too. We're going to do what we can. Even though it's a little bit of a detour, maybe, I don't know, this person, maybe we can try to get some information, or I don't know. I mean, they know, it seems like they might know about the plants and things, so maybe we can kind of speed up the process and get something from them. Who knows?
As long as we can get what information we need and depart, any further diversion is pointless.
I can understand that, but try not to be so down.
Hmm. My family heirloom has been taken by trickery when a member of our party decides not to divulge the functions of this place, encourages me to follow them. The only person I blame is our little companion Eden for being the one to push me to remove my boots.
Well, I have a feeling that she had a really good reason for that. I think that she knows more about the people here than we do and their customs, and I think she was trying to protect us. I know that you're sore about it, the whole thing, but I really don't think that she meant any harm. And I do think that she really will make sure that you get your items back, especially your boots.
Sure, but how much do you truly know on her potential? Have you not noticed the dark tidings that breed within her flesh?
Well, Mama always taught me to try to believe the best in people, even though sometimes she didn't listen to her own advice. But I don't know. I think there's more to Eden. Yes, there could be some, I don't know, darkness, as you say. But I think that the good outweighs the darkness. The light in her. I see it.
Perhaps. Either way, I foresee this detour to go longer than it needs to.
Well, it's going to take longer if you keep on moping about back here. Let's hurry up then.
Yeah, if you keep moping around, you won't have any fun. And the best part of this place is the fun. And you can see kind of like floating right off your shoulder, Finara, this little tiny winged humanoid.
Well,
just kind of like hovering right next to you. She's
didn't
got like this
anybody
long...
tell you that it's a little rude to be floating around randomly near somebody's ear like that?
That's a sign of affection.
I mean, yeah, but you're new, and you're interesting, and well, I don't know about y'all, but it's time to get a drink. And she like this little
What does she look like?
fairy, yeah, she's this little fairy lady that has long flowing brown hair that goes to about like right above her butt. She's wearing this like little tiny dress made of leaves and almost like the longer haired version of the chick from Fern Gully. And she's come on. Travis makes he's our gnome friend. He makes the best smoothies, and they have this little hint of alcohol in them. Like you barely even taste it.
Well, before we get to that, I believe that we're in need of proper introduction. What's your name?
I'm Thea.
Nice to meet you. I'm Finara. Finara Vidar.
Nice to meet you, Finara. And what's your name, dark broody person?
You ask my name. It is not for you to need to know. I do not trust questions in this land now.
Oh,
And it would
okay.
be at precisely that moment that Art would walk right up to Corvus. Corvus, do you want some of this cake? It's delicious.
I will pass on the cake. The things of this land are of trickery. I shall not partake in any of their deceit.
Suit yourself.
It's not deceitful, it's just very literal.
I find that using the literal sense of terms is just as deceitful as stringing words in a poetic fashion.
Oh, so you're telling me and the rest of us that you're not adaptable? That's what you're saying.
Oh, that's a bad quality to have in a teammate.
Corvus is stuck in his ways, it sounds like. Perhaps this is going to be good for you, Corvus. Learn how to adjust when you're faced with something you're not used to.
Completely respectable though. He's been doing everything on his own forever, and all of a sudden he's thrust into a situation where
I mean, he's gonna. I understand here,
growing
Jonah.
pains.
Guys, we should at least enjoy ourselves briefly before the meeting, I guess.
Listen, I am the only one that's really sort of
Let's go find you a
in immediate
mushroom.
danger,
Come
but I'm
on,
just glad to
Jonah.
be around people.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Jonah, what are you? Oh, you okay? You're still with the group.
Eden,
Okay.
Art, do you want to come with us? Finn? Anyone?
We
We're
just
gonna go find a
we can
mushroom?
talk to people and
see more.
socialize for the first time in forever.
Well, do you know when this meeting is going to be taking place?
I
They
feel
have
like
no
the
idea.
I feel like the more we interact with people, the more likely Relcath is going to show up.
So we just continue to mingle, is what you're saying.
I'm saying you're a performer. Go do it. And Corvus, you know, the mushrooms make people really happy.
Oh, also you should know that it's okay if you don't always understand people. I have trouble understanding people sometimes too. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think it's just been a rough day for him.
I
A lot to take
promise.
in.
And I promise I'll get your boats back. I told them that they had to give back everything we left with them. I set that forth before.
I don't wish to partake in these festivities for the simple fact that I would love to complete my job, get back to the academy, therefore the collective, and then be on my way.
Right, and I get all of that.
understand that.
I am in a predicament myself, but this is when we need self-care the most, okay? Like,
And
if you
it's Finn's birthday. Do it for Finn. I don't know what the
Whoa.
birthday is, but it sounds like something everyone wants to celebrate.
there is cake. It looks delicious.
It is delicious. I've already snuck some off of Art because there's like a whole piece on his forehead.
Fine. Then enjoy the festivities. We'll take our time enjoying this while those oozes continue to spread wherever they are across, while we wait instead of finding the objective to help deal with it. No, drink, eat, celebrate while others suffer. Of course. That's the pleasures that people want to have.
I like him. He's fun. And I'm going to go off and go and play my music.
All right, so you go off, start playing your music. Finara, are you going off to do your to grab a drink with your new fairy friend?
I'm gonna head over to where she's kind of at, but kind of as she leaves, she's kind of looking towards Corvus, like kind of concerned, and she kind of bows her head and kind of goes in that direction.
Cool. Art.
Before following Eden, Art would like to, since Corvus kind of towers over him, it would kind of be roughly probably around at thigh or calf level. Art's just gonna gently tap him on the calf at 3 different points. It's gonna be okay.
That is what they always want to try to push. Merriment and joy. I'm not opposed to it. However, people are depending on our actions. Yet people want to enjoy revelry. This is how souls get lost, lives get forgotten.
Well, but also, life is short, so eat cake.
If only life was short. I have lived more times in this one life than centuries of generations.
That sounds like it should be more lives filled with cake.
You
I
are
think
an
what he's
incessant one.
trying to say is, and I can speak from experience, if saving everyone means losing yourself, it may not be worth it.
Frankly, I'm not here for merriment. You don't even begin to understand why I'm here. And Eden will stomp off.
Which is also kind of your fault. We need to talk.
And as you go chasing after Eden, you all start divvying up and doing what you're doing. Corvus is
brooding, in the corner somewhere, like...
brooding frame looming over this Fey party. That's where we're gonna go on break. Everybody, make sure you put the word, I swear to God, I will murder
Barefoot.
all of you. Barefoot, Barefoot. Please do it so I can give you this beautiful D20.
Pink and gold
This
D20.
Eden-esque D20 from Umbral Oculus Dice. We are going to take like a 10-minute break. We'll be back in a few. Go refill your cups, and the adventure will begin again shortly.
Hi, guys.
Stuck in there.
They only caught the second half of that because I unmuted myself first.
You just have to jiggle it a little bit.
Oh my god, we're still on the joystick.
That's really nasty.
Shake it once, that's fine. Twice, it's okay. 3 times, play with yourself.
Yep.
Well,
Only
and on
friends
that
have
note,
them.
the party is yours. There are a menagerie of humanoid creatures of all shapes and sizes all over the place. Off to one side, you have the gnome who is currently bartending. You have and sitting there, you have the satyr bard. Off to the corner, or off by this little pool with the waterfall, you have your 2 humans tripping out, while over by the gazebo that's on the opposite side of that pool, you have this broody, not broody, but like this like teenage-looking kid in a kilt, fully decked out. He's the only one here fully like that has weapons on him or on them. And then you have your little goblin pack that are off to one side. You have, you can see that there are tents set up that a little bit farther down the glen. And there are people walking back and forth. The Eladrin are starting to shift and move. A couple a couple elves make their way over and are like kind of casually eating or like picking up some food here and there, going to grab drinks. This is very much kind of like a mixer type vibe. People are just kind of flocking from one group to the next, interacting. The red caps are coming by with hors d'oeuvres and like little trays of champagne, or like getting orders for people who are, you know, too inebriated or too lazy or too powerful to really want to do it themselves. But the stage is yours, and yeah, I'm gonna give it. Oh, first, Eden. Shit. God damn
Yes.
it. I had the one thing in my head.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it. Oh, okay. So you, the one thing you pick up with your passive, with your observant, because you're observant as well, so you can see and read and hear shit like no other person in the history of the world can. The one thing that you pick up is the group of, you would know these to be Eladrin, in very hushed tones. All these folk from the Briar are making me uneasy. Another one says, it's been a while since the Hallowed has been mentioned. The courts aren't going to like this. And the one in the more winter, right? The winter Eladrin is, she isn't going to like this, especially given their history. And that's what you pick up.
Eden's face will kind of go blank as they're walking, as she is kind of making her way towards the person in a kilt, because he eyeballed, and Eden wants to know why.
Cool. So you make your way over, and at this point, yeah, I'm checking one thing. Thank you, Renee. You know what you did
Yes, thank you.
But no, you make your way over, and this individual just kind of turns to you and, can I help you?
Well, I noticed you were staring earlier, and it kind of looked like recognition.
I mean, yeah. And you watch as the individual like puts her boots up on the table, sits back down. I mean, I recognize the name. Not many people have of the Briar in the back.
How do you know my name? I don't.
Well, everybody knows of the Briar.
Really?
Oh, you're that. Ooh, you're that Eden. Gotcha.
What do you mean that Eden?
Yeah, they're looking for you. I think you already know that, but they're looking for you, your sisters.
They're not really.
Wisteria's here.
What?
Yeah. She's been talking with Relkath like all day. Oh, I'm Riverwind, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So who are you to know all of this?
Oh yeah, I forget. You're Eden as a Briar. I'm one of the middlemen. I'm kind of like Relkath in a way, except like I'm really not. I'm technically part of the Unseelie. Officially, unofficially. You know, Riverwind, the changing flow of air that is constantly moving through the Feywild.
Yeah, Bella had some.
Oh, you could say, like, it's saying their name. Bella, you're not gonna do shit here. She's not gonna get in here without Relkath's permission. Honestly, he's her least favorite. So I mean,
She said
But-
stories about you.
I mean, there should be stories about most of us. We all have a purpose in the Feywild. I mean, even Lyran had one. Way back when.
I totally know what it is.
Good.
Was it?
So why are you here? What's your business? Like, what do you
Well,
want?
We're looking for flowers. There's oozes taking over a town, and we were trying to find the flowers so that we could help the people.
Okay,
I
well,
don't
come
know
in.
why I'm helping humans, but these ones that I'm with are really nice.
Well, come into Relkath is definitely the good choice. That was smart of you.
Obviously.
He's like
Absolutely. Yeah.
this giant plant thing, and you know, plants can grow plants. So
Do you think he'd be willing to? So, quick question. So Wisteria's here, and she's talking to. Did they mention if they're trying to take me back?
it wasn't fully like I'm allowed in a lot of places because I'm technically part of the court, but like people don't trust me. I kind of go back and forth. You know, winds of change and all. But I don't think they were looking for you. They said something about the barrier breaking. I didn't really catch up the whole thing. Honestly, I'm just here because this is a place that I can drink for free. And, you know, they don't really let me drink a whole lot at the Briar. Or not the Briar, at the courts. So.
That makes sense.
But no, I mean, Relkath is your best bet, I would imagine. Wisteria's here, but she can't really touch you because Relkath is like the true neutral god of this all Feywild or something. And anywhere that he creates a domain is typically non-hostile for members of the opposing court. See over there? And he points to the Eladrin. You know, the winter and the spring would be at each other's throats by now. It's because this place is almost like hallowed ground.
I overheard them saying that the people from the Briar were making them uneasy.
I mean, if a
Is that because of Liren?
I mean, yeah, if a bunch of people who worked for an Archfey that no longer is really Fey, that would explain it. And they're not like me. They're not, I mean, they're Fey, but like they're Fey in the sense that like elves are Fey, or like that goblin over there, and he points to Art, is Fey. But like they're not really Fey like you or me are.
So, they won't. At the risk of sounding stupid, and
You're
shouldn't-
probably gonna.
I probably also shouldn't trust you either.
Oh no, 100%. Like I said, wins a change. I'll stab you in the back the second I get a chance.
Yeah, but they won't tell me what. I don't know. Why? Why is Liren's stuck?
Yeah, that's not my thing. I know she was kicked out. That's about it. Every interaction I had with Liren was positive. That's all I gotta say. So when you see him eventually, just let him know that the Riverwind, good vibes.
Mm-hmm. I'll be sure to tell him. And tell him that you threatened to stab me in the back.
He would. Okay, fair.
He's rather defensive.
Me?
No, Liren.
I mean, exiled Archfey, I would be too. Listen, I can't get back to my home. I'm sitting duck here.
Understood. Well, I guess thank you. Do you know how to get a direct route to talk to Real Cass by chance?
Have you tried talking to the trees yet?
I didn't think about that.
I mean, he is like a giant tree person.
Good point. Well, thank you. I've already forgotten your name. You have a good day.
Mm-hmm. You too. Of the Briar. And he sees that and it's just like, Wisteria! Gotcha.
Mother hates you.
And just laughs off to himself, like just drink in one hand and yeah.
River floaty bastard. She's like walking back over to Art and Jonah. Assumingly
Good.
eating cake and mushrooms.
Okay.
Jonah is mingling like a mother. Since Eden didn't tell him anything, he is talking to everyone, trying to acquire all of the knowledge that he can of this place
Yes.
and everything.
Okay.
Oh god.
Make a check that you think would be appropriate for whatever you're trying to do.
Okay.
There's a couple that I have in mind, but I want to see where your head goes. While he's doing that, Art.
Was the conversation between Thea and Corvus within earshot of Art?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like
Great.
you guys were. I would imagine you were tailing Eden at this point.
Yes, no. The reason why I ask is because if Art had overheard something about an alcoholic smoothie, that's immediately what he is rushing off to grab.
Okay. At the bar, you see this little, and Fanara's over there as well. Your fairy friend Thea is over there. The satyr bard that was playing, all just kind of drinking, hanging out, having a good time. You walk up, and this little gnome. Hey, goblin buddy, how can I help you? What do you need?
Just out of curiosity, what language is he speaking right now?
Common.
Okay. I'm gonna instinctively speak to him in Gnomish, and I'm going to. I heard that you had a smoothie with alcohol in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What type of flavors do you want? Because I can do any emotions, and he's got like every fruit imaginable.
What combinations would work well together? If I combine, no. But if I, all of them?
Hey, can I get I need my mixings of holding. Yep. Uh-huh. And then out from a group of trees, this red cap comes running out with this giant brewer's kit of stuff, slams it down onto the table. All right, and he just kind of shuffles. Travis starts shuffling like one of everything in. Turns, shakes it up, grabs like a bottle of what looks like rum, and just kind of does a couple real heavy pours into it. Closes it, shakes it back up again, pours it into a nice little like one of the oh my gosh, the ones that you get when you go to like tiki bars and stuff.
Like a highball?
No, not a highball. The one that like has like the bigger bottom, but then it like loops out. Like the
margarita
drink.
glass?
Yeah, margarita.
Yeah,
There.
the
I don't
margarita
drink
glass.
margaritas, so I should have figured that out. Yeah, puts it in a giant margarita glass, and
You haven't
slides
been to
it to you.
Margaritaville? What?
I've never
Jimmy
been.
Butter,
To
baby.
Listen, it's 5 o'clock somewhere except the Feywild, where time doesn't matter. But no, and slides it over. All right, tell me what you think about that.
And I try it. What does it taste like?
Actually, I should probably roll a performance check for this guy and see how he did. That was out of the tray.
What does the flavor of every single fruit imaginable combined together taste like?
Love it.
Have you
42.
ever tried every single soda together at like McDonald's or something, or at like Wendy's where you do all of the flavors of every flavor?
Swamp
know,
water, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I have seen so many people do that, but I have never actually experienced this myself.
Oh,
You
fix
missed
that.
out.
I'd like to attack Art.
Roll with advantage and you get sneak attack.
You
Yep.
know what?
No,
It's
no.
okay, Eddie.
Um,
It's safe.
But so you get, it's almost
Electric fence.
layered in a weird way. You have your little bit of a sweet, and then you get hit with tart, and then it's followed up with this almost like smooth, like milky flavor, like texture and flavor. Followed up by another it just kind of mixes. You got your banana, you got your dragon fruit, passion fruit, right? You get a little bit of that like hint of watermelon. You don't taste a single drop of the rum, arguably because there's so much fruit, but it's just you're getting hit from all different angles with, fruit flavors.
I am going to be so excited by this stimulation of all these various flavors coming together that I will likely be sucking this in at a rate that I will probably get brain freeze.
Yeah, roll a Constitution saving throw. Do that for me. We'll see.
Sure. Constitution, that's a 15.
15. Yeah, no, you're fine. I'd say you're fine. 15's a solid roll. You get it and you feel it and you immediately go up, tongue to the roof, and you shove your tongue to the roof of your mouth to negate the effects of your.
Yeah. Immediately upon experiencing the brain freeze, I'm going to do the only logical thing that I can do and try to down more to be able to combat the effects of the brain freeze, because clearly that's how you fight brain freeze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me a second one. Oh, a second con saving throw. I meant.
Oh, okay.
I was.
Sorry. I thought you
I was
were
like,
going
that's.
to give
I
me
was
a
like,
second.
That was
that's
the
a.
most suspenseful roll.
I was like, what?
I was like,
what's
is
he
it a
doing?
one? What happened?
Oh, no. Synthetic 20, actually.
Oh yeah, you are. If anything, this has emboldened you to drink as many of the smoothies as possible. And you finish the first one, and as you're finishing the first one, he's already readying up a second one for you.
This has got to be the best thing I've ever tasted.
Oh, Art! I didn't know you were over here. Are you trying one of the smoother things?
Here, try this.
Wait, did you get the house special? Wait, what was the house special again, Thea?
It was it was passion fruit with a hint of coconut milk in it.
Oh, yeah, it's really delicious. All right, do you want to try mine and I'll try yours?
Sure.
All right, okay. And Fanara will sip, but also too enthusiastically, where she also too gets brain freeze because they've been downing these.
All right, go ahead and give me a. Oh my gosh, this is where the night's going. Give me a Constitution saving throw.
will
I
say
love
at
it.
some point, eventually when Eden walks in there from that conversation, sees people getting brain freezes, brooding, talking, and probably playing a pamphlet, Eden's probably just gonna wander.
Noted.
That was only an 11.
An 11? Yeah, you 100% like brain frozen over, can't think. Yeah.
Oh, oh, dang it.
Oh, that happened to me too. Just drink it faster. It makes it feel better.
Okay.
Yeah,
She
Constitution.
goes for the other one.
Saving throw with disadvantage because you currently have brain freeze.
Oh, okay. That one was better. It was 14.
That was with disadvantage?
Yeah, I rolled a 12
snap.
both times. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, so you apparently, I didn't know this was a thing that actually worked, but apparently now it's canon that if you get brain freeze, you just keep chugging whatever you're drinking and the brain freeze will go away. Also, thank you for the raid, Big Boss Waztech. How you doing, my friend? Welcome, Raiders. Welcome to the Red Hare Inn. I am your innkeeper and dungeon master, Logan Hanley, accompanied by all of my amazing players. We are playing some D&D 5e, and we are currently at a Feywild meet and greet.
Drinking alcoholic smoothies.
Yeah.
Drinking alcoholic smoothies, where when you drink more smoothie, your brain freeze goes away.
Oh, I can't believe that worked. I'm going to have to remember that. It doesn't taste like alcohol at all.
No, not at all.
Like, how did they do it? It's like it's obviously magic, right? It has to be.
I've heard, Dad used to say that, cooking is kind of like alchemy, and I guess the same logic must apply to, barkeeping too, and it is a kind of form of magic in its own right.
Wait, I never really asked about your parents or your family.
Oh, well, what do you want to know?
Oh, I don't know. Like, tell me a little bit about them and maybe, I don't know, something interesting that you guys used to do together, things like that.
Oh, well, I was raised in a Finkeltug, by my dad's, and, they both had their strengths in various ways, one of them was a bit more on the inventive side, and, that's kind of where I got a lot of my knowledge from. I really liked learning from them a lot. They were very helpful in trying to get me to hone in on what I was capable of, and I learned so much from them.
Wait, did you? I don't know if you mentioned this before. You said were.
Yeah. I left home because I had something I had to work on, and it wasn't something I wasn't going to be able to do while staying there. I mean, it's technically this wasn't my first home; it was my second home. But they made it a really nice place for me, and I spent a lot of time reading. I learned a lot while I was with them.
Well, you're really smart, and you combine all sorts of things and contraptions and such. So I'm sure they're really proud of you.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think they were. They I know that there were times I didn't always make things easy for them. Like being the goblin living with the gnomes.
Oh, they were gnomes. That's why you were able to speak the same language as the bartender. I noticed.
Yeah, old habit. My dads are gnomes, and they were the ones who taught me what I know.
Do you miss them a lot?
Yeah, I do. It was the thing I think really missed most was I really liked working on the honeycomb with my other dad. They were really excited when we finally got to put those together. It was nice being able to keep the bees.
Well, as long as they weren't stinging you. Bee stings are the worst.
Yeah, but it makes really, really good honey. That's how I was able to make that cage that I put on Wait, which one were they at the time? Was that Ripley or I'm losing track at this point.
Yeah, honestly, I got to start taking better notes so I can keep track. And they all have their different personalities too, so it's a little bit hard to keep track of everything. I wonder if there's more. I think there are. At least, I think he mentioned that before. But I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out. I'd love to meet the other ones.
Well, I'm glad that we got to talk a little bit and get to know each other better. What is my brother up to?
What is her brother up to?
So I am like the center of attention. If there are conversations, but I am like smack dab in the middle of everything.
You're like,
and I am going hard as a motherfucker on this pan flute right now, and like I am. If you thought Kenny G was a whiz on the saxophone, you ain't never seen anyone hit a pan flute like Perrin Hopesinger does. And it is mystifying. It is exuberating. It is fantastic. There will be children conceived to this music. So,
okay, cool. Noted. That's exactly what your brother's doing. You see him rocking out on his pan flute.
Well, I guess he can't help being Perrin. I mean, I am really proud of my brother. He's quite the performer. It's really impressive. I wish I could do the same thing. I'm not really that good at playing instruments and such, but I really enjoy watching.
It's not my strong suit either. I would really love to be able to learn how to make those wonderful sounds that he makes. I mean, that too, that is another form of magic. Just the way that he's able to just create those different sounds and different resonances, and it just somehow makes something that's just really appealing to listen to.
I agree.
I cannot replicate that.
No, I tried to do it once with, when you fill glasses up and then you put different amounts of water and then you go like this on the top of them and then you try to make the different notes. I sort of am not that bad at doing that, but you need lots and lots of glasses and you gotta make sure the water amount is just right and that the pitch is. You kind of lick your finger a little bit and go like that.
I did try to do that once, too, in my dad's kitchen. That didn't end well.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, all the different liquids you guys use, I'm sure it's a little bit more dangerous than just water in the glass.
It took me a good week to get some of the shards out of the cabinets and out of my anyways.
Oh.
Panning over to Jonah. Jonah, what'd you get on your roll, and what was it?
That's a good question. Oh, it was 25.
And what
So
skill were you
basically,
using?
what I'm doing is kind of using Perrin as sort of a catalyst. I am literally just going. If I got to cast comprehend language, great. I am flirting. I am dancing. I am bringing people drinks, and I'm just talking everybody up, and I am investigating both anything about the Briar, and I will talk to Kilt Boy, and I'm talking to everybody, and just trying to find out information about this place, about the Fae, about Eden, about anything, because we know nothing.
Okay. Yeah, so you learn talking through a number of individuals. You stop and talk to the Ladrin for a hot minute, and they're like, initially they're like, who the hell is this human? And you're like, hey, I know the guy playing music, and hey, here's drinks, and start passing out drinks, and they're kind of just vibing with you and picking up the, Perrin's killing it on the pan flute, and so that definitely helps. And you learn from them that this place, the Willow Borough, is essentially a safe haven for Fae. It's also a place where there is a very, very strong tie with the Feywild itself. So some folks from the Feywild can travel back and forth here. It's one of those kind of ley line areas. talking to them and trying to poke into the briar a little, the majority you get is just kind of scoffs, and then they're reminded that you also came here with Eden, and they shut down real quick. The Eladrin aren't. They seem very standoffish in that regard. Circling around to Riverwind, he is very open. The Briar, he tells you just pretty much straight up, is this thing here on the material plane where Lirin, also known as the Hallowed, was put after they were exiled from the Feywild. Lirin was his Archfey. He honestly doesn't care. Eden pretty much said that he was going to tattle on him, so he's like, screw it. Doors are open. He doesn't know much other than that, but he knows that Eden, along with her 3 sisters, Wisteria being one of them, who he mentions is here, are kind of like his worshippers, followers, pawns, depending on your interpretation or their interpretation or Lirin's interpretation. He doesn't really know, but he knows that Archfey deal with, the people under them pretty kind of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, they kind of just throw them wherever they want. But Lirin has a purpose, and Wisteria has to be here for a reason.
Anything about whatever the guy that runs the place?
Relkath, he's pretty temperamental. He's pretty chill from the vibe that you get, like, circulating around. He doesn't show up very often to this central part, like this little grove area. But when he does, it's usually in times of conflict when people aren't behaving. He likes to maintain that this place is a safe haven. It is a place where people of all courts can come and reside and interact in a peaceable or peaceful manner, and is known throughout the material plane and the Feywild for that kind of behavior.
And the only other thing that I would be of interest in is, other than ourselves, because I kind of understand, how long have some of these people been here?
He points to the humans. The humans have been there at least a month. And they've been OD'd for 3/4 of that. Just continuously getting hopped up on Feywild goodies. The Forest Gnome works here. The Red Caps are part of Relkath's personal guards. There's a Leonin masseuse in the tent, and he kind of points, so like if you're sore or like you're, you need any knots worked out. Erebos is your Leonin for that. The Eladrin come and go as they please, and from the sounds of it, Riverwind isn't at all caring, nor does he seem to identify one Eladrin from the other. Same with the elves. The goblins haven't left, and they've been here for like a solid 6 months. At this point, Riverwind is pretty sure that the Redcaps think they're just a nuisance. Eating all the food and like going out and picking little squabbles with people on the road or like settlements, and like just being tricksy, and then bringing whatever they get back with them.
Okay. And when my sort of social battery is filled, I will go find Corvus.
All right. Make a perception check.
Okay.
And also, again, watching everybody be social, Eden's gonna kind of go off towards a tree to go talk to a tree, thinking that's the smart decision. Skirting by the Eladrin and keeping an eye on the elves.
When you move past the Eladrin, they all just kind of, they don't say anything to you, but they just are eyeing you very intently, watching your mannerisms, your movement. The winter Eladrin in particular, and a couple of the autumn Eladrin have almost like these scowls or like grimaces on their face as you walk by.
I'm not like the others. And then she'll walk.
They were about to say something, and then they were the one Winter Eladrin just kind of puts his hand on his buddy. He's like, yeah, it's not worth it. Like, just chill. But you go off to find your tree. Real quick, Jonah, what was your perception?
23.
23. You spot, looking around, your social battery starting to drain. You see Eden kind of go off into a darker grove, or like a shadier grove of trees, and start to like kneel down and like prepare to kind of like hang out and talk to a tree. And you watch that as Corvus is just kind of in the shadows, almost echoing her. No, not you.
This is HER from Spotify.
Echo, no, shut up, shut off. I can't say that
Do
word.
we need to make this like a bingo thing?
No,
like
I just need to.
game
I
or
need to
something?
unplug it. I keep forgetting to unplug it whenever
that's
whenever
great.
we're in session, and then I say that word that I will not say, and it activates. But no, Corvus is following Eden intently and sticking to the shadows. You are just barely able to make him out.
Okay. Then I will kind of note if he's headed in her direction, then I will also head in that direction.
Cool.
I have
Eden.
a question.
Yeah.
Is like looking at the elves, does that stir anything in Eden?
Oh, make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, did you need a charisma saving throw?
Sure. Yeah, give me one. Why not? Since you asked for it. 5. No, you don't like. They're
Is that a wisdom saving throw, right?
wisdom saving throw, correct?
Okay, yeah, no.
5. No. No, you don't get any. Like, there isn't really a huge ping. And most of them, the elves are very kind of nonchalantly, kind of just like, not shrugging you off. They're cordial and say hi, like the actual elves. It's the Eladrin that are like hoity-toity, like
Gotcha.
holier than thou Fey people. Charisma saving throw, Jonah, and then we'll go back to Eden.
14.
14. You feel something start to creep up, and you hear, man, there's a lot of really interesting and powerful folk here. If I could only get close enough. And when he says close enough, your mind kind of flicks for a second, and then you hear, oh my god, the smart one.
Ripley.
Ripley, kind of, oh, that's interesting, and like kind of push back for you mentally and push the Ooplix inside of you out of your mind for the time being. Eden, you go into this small clump of trees. What would you like to do?
She will sit down in front of one of the trees, like facing it, and she will touch her like palms to it, and like the vines will come out of the palm of her hand and kind of just like wrap onto the tree a little bit. And so we're trying to help a bunch of people, and I was told you might have questions for me, and I kind of feel like a lot of people know who I am, and I don't even know that part, and it's really weird talking to people that know more about me than I do. But if you're around, Real Cat, and Wisteria's not with you, then we can talk about stuff. If I don't have anything to hide.
You see out of the corner of your eye, and Corvus and Jonah kind of following up, you see this as well. 2 trees almost make an, like the leaves or the branches bow and almost make like an arch. And where that arch forms, you can see a door handle, an intricate kind of almost brass door forming there.
We didn't open the door.
You open the
Not
door.
pushing.
It pushes in as you open it. And you look in, and it is this. You're on top of a tree somewhere. It's this office carved into the trunk of a tree. You can see this kind of stained glass that's on the opposite end. There's a small balcony. There are books piled in every direction. Everything is made of some sort of wood. Lighter stain, darker stain. The desk itself is made of this really rich looking mahogany. And sitting behind that desk, you can see this old man, his beard covered in moss, almost as if it is moss. His face is dark, and it takes you a second to realize that's not skin, that's bark. His eyes are inlaid with like what look to be some sort of seed or acorn. Hair similar, this kind of green mossy color. Hands kind of just folded across his chest. A small glass in front of him. You can see a red cap off to one side, just kind of head bowed and waiting and listening. Eden, we've been expecting you. And the chair opposite him, which is a really high back chair, turns. And you can see this light green skinned human. Vines and trees. Her hair kind of a bristle of branches. Wearing this really elegant cloak and dress made of different style leaves. Wisteria turns around. Hello. Sister. How are you?
But
Why do you look so afraid?
well, Hamlet kind of threatened me the other day.
As is her way. You know that. She
I'm gonna
can't.
go back, right? Yet?
You will go back in time when it is deemed worthy, and when you are called and feel ready. Hemlock can't hurt you here, dear.
That's good. Why do everybody know who I am? But
Well, come, sit. And Ralcath, we have much to discuss, little one. If you indeed wish to know who and what you truly are. Do you wish to do this alone?
oh, they can come. I trust. That one's really nice. The other one's. I don't see Corvus, do I? Just see Jonah.
Jonah, as I've heard your name being proclaimed. The broody one,
That's Corvus.
Corvus. You may enter.
Whoever steps out. In the
Are you?
shadows.
Really? The whole.
Jonah acts across.
You are good. Okay. But yeah, I want to know, and they can hear. I don't care. Wisteria, don't eat them.
You know I only like the green meat.
Yeah.
I heard you have a goblin with you.
I do, but you can't have that one. I like him.
Well, that's fine. There are plenty here.
I like this one. It's my friend.
Okay. So, what do you wish to know first?
Why was Liren kicked out? I didn't know that. You guys don't tell me these things.
Liren was kicked out because of his own undoing. He sought a seat that wasn't his. And sometimes when you attempt to unseat somebody higher up the chain than you, it ends badly for you.
Okay, then why am I in the Briar?
Why were you in the Briar?
Mm-hmm.
Would be your question. You were in the Briar because it was fated to be so. It was fated that you would be bound to Liren. Not to our sisterhood, but to Liren himself.
Why can't I remember? Everyone keeps talking about their parents.
Fey magic, Fey tricks, Fey curses, Fey fates are fickle. And sometimes Archfey don't even have control over them, little one.
How long have I been? Was I there?
How long were you in the Grove?
Hmm.
Human years?
Yeah. Time doesn't matter here. But
Well,
if
time
someone
is...
had a birthday and we don't know what that is. Weird.
It's somebody's birthday today.
Mm-hmm.
And just, he kind of snaps his finger, and from the table you can see Finn in front of you, just like this little thing pops up out of nowhere. And it's like this little, like, cactus almost.
Ow.
This really beautiful flower at the top.
Yeah, was this your doing, or Mr. Bartender?
No, that was probably, that's Relcath. That's his birthday flower. You should pick that.
Oh, what do I do with it? I mean, it's really beautiful. I don't want to crush it or anything.
You
I'm
can,
not supposed to eat it, right?
I mean, I wouldn't eat it. That's to say you shouldn't. I mean, you definitely could if you wanted to try. I mean,
No.
you could like put it in a scrapbook, or you can smell it. Smelling may have the same effect as eating it. I don't know.
Oh, what's the matter, Art?
It's your birthday? My goodness! How could I?
Oh, yeah. It's my birthday. So much stuff has been going on today. So it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Well, here I'm gonna get up from the bench and find another piece of cake. Put that on the table. I'm gonna dig around in one of my pockets and try and I think I have one somewhere. I think I have a candle somewhere in here.
While he's doing that, she is going to sniff the flower.
Okay, make a charisma saving throw for me.
All right. Oh, goody. That's only a 6.
You high as fuck.
You get hit with just this immensely, almost euphoric sensation as you're smelling this flower, and you start to smile, and you start to laugh, and then you start just laughing uncontrollably, and you're gonna be laughing for like the next minute, for like just the next minute straight, just straight laughing. Art, did you find a candle?
I don't believe that I actually have a candle in my inventory, but instead I am going to take a stick of butter and I'm going to roll it in my hands until it is about the
gonna
cylindrical
say stick of
circumference.
dynamite.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull out one of my grenades really quick and put it in the middle of the cake.
Just wait.
Last birthday Finn ever has. No big deal.
No, we're gonna take a stick of butter and roll it until it is the cylindrical appropriate size of something that could be used as a candle. We're gonna stick it into the center of the cake, and then Art is going to pull out one of his little duck bombs and try and see if he can do a controlled release of a small. Here, there we go. Just stick it right there. And see if we can do a small controlled release of a flame from one of his little mechanical duckies.
Go ahead and make an intelligence or make a check using your tinkering tools. So it'd be intelligence plus proficiency. God, I can't wait.
Intelligence plus what now?
Proficiency.
Plus
If you hurt
proficiency?
my sister, I swear to God.
And this is how Thanara went blind.
21.
What'd you get? Sorry.
21.
Yeah, very successfully, you're able to just encase this little bomb inside, light it. It has this little bit of a detonation, but it's only enough to like get smatterings of frosting all over the place. The cake itself doesn't explode, and you have a nice little, like the fuse is quick because it's only one action, so it's 6 seconds, and it's just.
Well, essentially the goal was to try to release a small flame so that we would have essentially a burning stick of butter on top of the cake.
Okay, yeah, I'd say it would do that, and then yeah, it would definitely kind of go. I mean, it's still attached to a bomb. Actually, no, you could pull the wick out and use the wick into the butter. Yeah, that makes sense. The 21, yeah, you can defuse your bomb and use the wick as a candle, and you got a nice little birthday cake with a little candle on top going.
This is amazing art. Look at that. There's butter on my cake. There's butter on my cake. Oh my God. Perrin! There's butter on my cake. Oh my God. You just hear her yelling this in the bar.
Perrin takes literally a split second to stop playing music and goes, "It's called buttercream, woman," and he goes back to playing.
The Eladrin are like staring at you like, oh my God, like, yeah.
Yeah,
The
Fanara's
goblin's all
falling
start to
off
like.
of her chair. She's laughing so hard. She's leaning on Art, which possibly because she's still bigger technically than Art, probably because she's leaning and like, this was the best thing ever. Thank you so. And she's leaning just totally on Art, all of her weight. So yeah,
Yep.
that's what's happening.
Relcath looks back at you. It's taken care of. And you guys can hear the door is still open, and like Fanara's laughter is emanating throughout the space now. And he just kind of flicks his hand, and the door closes.
So, how many years?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Give or take, 200. Maybe 3. I don't know. We forgot most of the time.
My parents?
Probably not. Depends what misfortune befell them in Waithglen.
Waithglen?
I did not tell you that.
Why are you being so nice?
Because one day Hemlock won't be in power. And when that day comes, I want to be on your good side.
Insight check.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
That's a
Of 50,000 because
22. Yeah.
That's with a 22. Yeah, she's being truthful. There's a hint of jealousy, but truth is there.
Okay, well, then my other question for Relkath, we're trying to help Swagat that have, like, an ooze problem. There's oozes taking over everybody's brains. Like this one. There's like a red oozy thing that went up his nose or something. It was really gross. But we read that there's, I forget the name of the plant, and my notes are packed.
Crimson Crawler is
Yes.
and Lace Flower are the two.
Yeah. It was either a crimson crawler or like a lace flower. If we could get those, we think we can make a cure for the people to get them free. Do you know where we could find one? Or help with?
And he points to one of the bookshelves, and crawling up this bookshelf is this bright red streak of ivy.
That's it, right there. Isn't
It is.
cool.
Do you know how to administer it?
I do not know. That would be for the lot of you to figure out.
Do you have anything we could put it in so that we don't, die, or they don't die? Because they're kind of.
I can provide you with samples and sample cases. However, when a gift is given, a gift must be given in return.
You want my boots?
No, Seika already has those.
We actually that's actually a follow-up question when we're done with this conversation.
What would you like?
He kind of smiles to himself and chuckles for a second. You have a bard in your party, do you not?
Perrin, this is ridiculous.
Well,
That means good, right?
He
sure.
is our bard, yes.
Tell Perrin to write a song. A song that is a story, but is also an adventure in its own right. And those who follow the instructions laid out in Perrin's song will find treasure at the end. He sings this at every tavern that he goes to. Then we will call the debt paid.
Like a branding thing.
Sure. It doesn't have to be about me. It can be about anything that his mind comes up with. However, he must sing it at every tavern, every bar, every inn that you travel to.
And if he doesn't, we'll cut off his pinky.
And
Well,
no, if he doesn't, he comes here and belongs to me. And all
that's also not...
of the people in Swagat who I've helped with Crimson Crawler will turn into redcaps.
If I may,
You may.
could you do me a favor and tell me your name?
I will tell you my name, yes. My name is Relkath. Relkath of the Infinite Branches.
Do you also abide by the rules of the Feywild?
I did not get my title of Guardian of the Waylines without following certain rules.
And since I asked you to do me a favor and give me your name, you've agreed to give me your name. You still owe me a favor.
You said, tell me your name. I did indeed tell you my name.
I said, could you do me a favor and tell me your name? You agreed to do such. I gave 2 things and you agreed to my statement. You only gave me half of the deal. Are you rescinding the fact that you are not paying your favor?
Ripley would love this. I hate it.
No, I'm not. I was seeing if you would get tongue-tied in your own words. What is your favor?
We seek the Crimson Crawler. Without this bargain of our friend.
What about your boots?
You promised I would get them back. I expect you to hold your side of it. However, a deal of the Fae asking for a member of our group who cannot speak for themselves here. I see no need for them to do such.
At that point, I'm going to send a message to Parent. Darling, could you come here for a minute, please? We need you.
Parent,
Look for the big door.
It does not go through.
Great. Parent keeps playing.
Can Corvus have his boots back? I asked when we arrived. I told them that they would give everything back, and they agreed that they would get everything back that we gave to them.
You can keep my boots if it helps the
Yeah, they
situation.
can keep the
at all.
shitty brown ones, but the gold shiny ones belong.
They're not
to me.
okay.
I mean, the
It's
shitty
the
brown
taste.
ones were... That was you directly fell into a Fae trap there, so that one's on you. You're not getting those boots back.
The
Which,
gold
by the
boots-
way, hate that as well. All of that's awful.
Don't ever
Corvus-
come to the Feywild then. And Wisteria turns around. Yeah, that's not going to be a very good place for you, my dear.
It's just not hospitable to guests, and that's inappropriate, particularly for a party.
I just Corvus, those were important, and we were told they'd be given back to Corvus. And I can't leave until
I'll tell you what. Corvus. Fine. You can have the Crimson Crawler. But for your boots, I demand a song.
You get nothing from me. I have been here long enough to know that you trust not a request from a Fae of any kind or any capacity. I shall
That's
not
not-
give you a favor. You shall not own one over me, nor my allies. I shall not make this bargain. If Perrin so chooses to do so, that is of their accord.
can we trade it? What if it's not Perrin? Is there
Also, the
something-
implication here is that the crawler is only available here.
No,
that may-
the favor is the crawler.
You
right,
can,
but that's what we need. That's the leverage. If that is available somewhere else, then there is no leverage.
you can definitely risk looking for it in the Heart Scars.
I think there's a risk anywhere here.
Or you can sing me a song. I've already semi-agreed to it. Now you're really only fighting for the boots.
We're getting the Crimson Crawler. I'm just trying to find a way to get Corvus's boots. The crawler's ours.
I would like a song. One that I think your bard would be really up to. And he snaps his fingers, and you watch as a hole opens up in the middle of the tree trunk. Perrin, you're standing on the table like mid-song, and you watch as this whirlwind of branches and vines and leaves kind of swirl up toward you, breaking the table, engulfing you, pulling you into the ground, and then you just pop up in this room with Eden and Corvus and...
But I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany's? This is precarious.
Your fan demanded to meet you.
There's a very big bargain for you. Like,
She-
literally for you.
He turns to Eden and goes, really?
basically,
We haven't agreed.
Corvus,
We haven't agreed.
we have not, because it's not cocaine. But they said they will not give Corvus's boots back unless you agree to sing a song at every bar forever, about this adventure, and there's a story and stuff. And if you don't do it,
And
then you come back here.
Obtainable treasure at the end that anybody follows can get.
Yeah,
But
bad
you
cards.
can write it. It can be
Yeah,
of your
whatever.
choice.
But if you don't do it, then you come back here forever.
Also, you're doing it for an
It sounds
Archfey.
not great. Yeah,
Imagine
it's
the
not-
other songs you can write because you are writing a song for an Archfey.
So you're going to in making this deal with you to sing this song for you for these boots, you're also going to give me inspiration for the rest of time to write future songs.
Correct. But the one that you have to sing at every tavern is the one that you write specifically for me for this deal.
Okay. But we are agreed, like we have an accord that we get the boots for singing this song at every tavern, and also you are going to provide me with inspiration for my songs.
Oh, no, I was saying that this experience of you making a deal with an Archfey for a song and some boots
okay.
would make a great additional song on top of
Right.
the song you were
Well,
already writing.
I don't disagree. I swear I've heard something similar. It's alternative. Something about a fiddler and a devil, but you know, a little bit different. Okay. I mean,
You don't have to.
hold on a second. You were hesitant about agreeing to this deal.
Because it meant it was about you and not us. We can't make this deal with your life.
Correct. We don't speak on your behalf.
Right. We'll talk about this later. He turns back to the Fae and goes, let me just finalize this because I am the caveat, I guess. And he just kind of looks around at everyone, shrugs his shoulders. You will give my friend his boots back. I will sing the song about this adventure, which leads to treasure at the end.
Correct. So to clarify, out of you're writing a song that essentially is a story that if somebody were to follow the directions of the story or the adventure or whatever meat and potatoes you put into it, the end result would that be they find some sort of treasure, and that treasure is obtainable.
Right. Okay.
Corvus gives a very
Got it.
visible look of disagreement because Corvus knows what this means. Corvus is adaptable.
No, he's not.
Bullshit.
So Perrin goes, right. So because I sing the song, you create the treasure.
Correct.
And he looks at Jonah. It's very interesting, the fact that, you know, I would create this thing and then there would be treasure. What don't you think?
Agreed.
Maybe. Turns back to the Fae. So, right. Song for boots. Or I come here for the end of time.
And yes,
Okay.
you can
Right,
replace pine if you so wish.
I've already done that. And he just kind of pulls out a small like bit of parchment and like a chunk of charcoal. And just writes down the ballad of the sea glass and twine. Keep your ears open. And he puts his hand out.
He is sitting like behind this super thick desk, and he just extends his hand, and you watch as from it a branch, like another hand extends as if another branch is forming on him, and it stretches out toward yours, and it shakes your hand.
Good. I'm happy to do this. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you're going to need to give me time to write and complete this song. So how do you expect to know when I've done that?
Next full moon, I will know because I can hear your songs being sung as wind passes through each blade of grass.
Your gastric movements are none of my concern, but I appreciate that.
Oh, that's Riverwind. That's Riverwind. 100%.
He's got wind in the name. That makes sense.
He's a bow.
And he looks over at Jonah. You've got good mind about the stars and whatnot, right? Are you aware of the phases of the moon? I'm not sure where we're at yet.
Yes.
They'll get that. They'll figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yes.
Right.
We are.
Okay. That's enough for me. I'll take that. Fine. I will have a song ready in the next full moon for you, Relkath, and I look forward to whatever good tidings you bring.
I as well. And when he claps his hand, Corvus, your boots are in your hand now. Jonah, in your hands is a wooden glass case with strands of crimson crawler on it. Perrin, all that comes to you is the fact that you just made a deal with an Archfey. And as you stand there, the floors give out beneath you as all three of you fall and stand back up at the party.
Well, thanks for that. I appreciate you including me in the decision-making process. Like I said, we were going to talk about that in future. If it has anything to do with me creating something, like telling a story, singing a song, just naturally believe that I'm gonna say yes. It'll save you time in the long run. I will likely write a song and sing a song for someone. It's not normally a problem.
Sure. We just want you to maintain your artistic integrity. Does that make sense?
Oh, right. Okay. I understand. Oh, sure. Just wanted to make sure to let you know in future. You don't have to ask. Or you could tell me, yeah, hey, singer boy, I need a song, and I'd do it.
I felt it was best for you to know that you would be making a deal in which your song would lead people to do whatever this Archfey beckons, the treasure that they have decided, in which if you ever miss a step, slip even the slightest, you're bound to this place, away from the things you hold dear for all of life.
Right, like if we didn't tell you and we go to a tavern and you're like, no, just the hits tonight, and then it's over. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you hadn't told me, you'd be bad friends, and I'd damn you to hell for the rest of eternity. However, you could have just said to me following the conversation, oh, hey, by the way, you need to write a song for Relkath, or else you're going to live here for the rest of your days. And that would have been easy for me to understand. I mean, you guys could have explained that just as well as that bugger could. So, I feel we could be all right. Also, Corvus, including something in the set list and adjusting for that, real simple. Really, I just have to make sure that is number 1 on the entire list, and then that's it, and I'm good.
However, in the circumstance that you ever enter a bar, tavern, and are unable to sing, unable to perform, you will still be damned. Whether or not you can do it is not the question.
Right.
That is the point.
No, I hear you. I am right there with you. I am 100% aware of the terms of the agreement. I walk into a place, I have to perform. If I can't perform, guess what? I'm fucked, right? Fucked. But I think, like, I understand the literal agreement. So does that fey creature.
We'll just make you sing before Art blows the place up. It'll be fine.
I mean, that's a bit much. I mean, he's yet to cause any explosions.
However, it is true, and even if you were dragged into a tavern unconscious, your body is entered. If you are unable to perform, all technicalities are probable.
Right. No, absolutely. Same as the technicality is what the treasure is. Right?
And as long
And he
as
just,
you are aware,
there's like this devilish grin that crosses his face. You see, the Fey agreement works both ways. He's vague in his description. Therefore, I get to write the song the way I want it to.
as long as you are in understanding, I simply wanted to ensure that you were made aware. Yes.
The reason the boot thing worked is because we didn't know the rules. Once you know the rules, it's easier to
Right.
play the game.
Absolutely, and now we know the rules, and it's a fairly easy give and take. And then he pulls like another piece of parchment out and like turns to Corvus, showing him things that he's written down. I just wanted to get your insights as to whether you like any of these. Brooding in the corner, wings of blackened flame, shadows of myself, and Mama's boy. Which of those would you like me to write first?
Shadows of myself, and then if you include Mama's boy, highlight that it's mothers, all three of them.
Okay.
The wing one, though.
Did Corvus just make a joke?
Yeah, and you weren't there.
Yeah, Eden wasn't
And
there. Sorry.
as this is happening, we're going to pan back over for final actions from Fanara and Art prior to going back to Eden.
Perry fell into a hole!
Did that tree just eat him? Like,
He went down the hole and we couldn't find him. That was so crazy.
Here we should go. Oh god, and I'm trying really hard not to spill my fourth smoothie as I try to get up from the bench and help Finn with me to try and see if we can find where our wonderful bard has gone off to.
Yeah, as
Wait, I got a good one. What do you call a parent that falls through a hole?
What do you call it, the parent that falls through the hole?
I don't know! Oh my god! Oh fucking a parole. I don't know. We'll work on it.
You know, as you guys stand up, can you both just give me dexterity saving throws? Because y'all have role played this too good to not get one.
I'm
That's
so
not right.
sad that Eden
No.
wasn't drunk in.
It was only an 8.
6.
You both stand up and like, Fanara, you put your hand on Art, thinking that he'll support you. Art, you are leaning on Fanara's leg, thinking she'll support you, and you both just kind of topple into each other. As you fall down, you look up, and both Corvus, you can see in the distance, Corvus, Jonah, and Perrin all just pop out of the ground. And that's where we're gonna leave the 5 of you for right now. Eden, you're still in this chamber. Are there any final questions or final thoughts that you have for Relcath and Wisteria?
Did you have any questions for me?
He wants to know, what do you want out of this?
Out of what?
This arrangement, this pact. He was kind enough to let you leave, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
He will listen. In time.
I've been really angry. And I don't know why. I just feel really weak. And I keep watching bad things happen for no reason. And I see people hurting other people for no reason, for money. And I don't know what to do, but
When you go back to the Willow Borough, Ralcath speaks out. Far off in the corner, there's a small pool. Elves long ago used it for divination. Reach out to him. There may be one similar in the Briar. He just kind of winks at you.
thank you.
No. Run along, little one. Our business here is done. And he kind of he kind of goes like that, and the leaves, their emotions like that, and the leaves go off of his arms and start to kind of push you. And as they do, that door manifests and opens again. And as you're starting to pass through it, you hear,
Your voice is prettier than the Briar.
"Thank you. Remember, they wanted a cage. I gave him a puzzle." And the door closes behind. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session. Thank you all for sticking with us. We're going to go around the horn real quick and let my amazing, amazing players talk about themselves, except for Ronan, who's just going to say he's Ronan. But yeah, starting with the wonderful Eden of the Briar.
Hi everybody, Taryn Hackett, also known as Valrook across the socials. I am a dice maker under the moniker of Umbral Oculus Dice. That's UO_dice on the Instagram. I have dice in stock right now. You can enter in code Red Hare Inn, discount code Red Hare Inn for 10% off full sets of my shop right now. You can go check that out, so go do that. I'm on the initiative order every other Sunday for Far Realms Cult Divinity Lost Homebrew, where I torture Corvus and Jonah, if you want to watch that. But yeah, that's me. That's what I do, and I'm playing Eden.
Awesome. Perrin.
Yeah, it's my turn because I know how this works. Hi, everybody. My name is Renee Beauregard. I played Perrin Hopesinger today, and I now am going to write a song that details an adventure that leads to attainable treasure. What that means is up to me now. That, you know, it's going to be a thing.
We all know it's gonna be like sex with Perrin or something ridiculous. You're a bard. That's what you do.
That would be the greatest treasure in all the land.
I have not once
Perrin's-
ever leaned
Perrin's
into
heart.
the horny bard trope.
You
okay.
have not. This is
Yes.
So let's give me time.
Bad news is you only got 1 day to write it. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, full moon's
Great.
tomorrow.
Full moon is tomorrow. Oh, beautiful.
Joke's on you.
So thank you all for coming out. You can find me at Dragon Rock RPG on Facebook and Twitter, and at Dragon Rock RPG Design on Instagram, where me and my compatriot and best friend Daniel Lieberman, we create 5e supplements for Dungeons and Dragons. You can find those supplements on DM's Guild if you just search Dragon Rock RPG. We just released our Rangers. We also have Warlocks, Barbarians, and our Icons of Horror supplement, where you can allow your players to play iconic horror movie villains. If we get at least 10 ratings and reviews reviews on our Icons of Horror, I'm going to force Daniel Lieberman to allow me to write a volume 2. Please give me the opportunity to do this. Rubbing things in his face is my favorite. So without further ado, I will pass this on to my lovely sister, who is drunk as a skunk.
Well, hello everybody. That was quite fun. I love drunk Fanara. She's the best. Except this time it wasn't drunk. It was more like, "Hi, Fanara?" Question mark. Not even
Same
know
wild
there.
liquor, same thing, right?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. I am Utahime. I'm a cosplayer, streamer, TTRPG performer. You can catch me on the social medias at Utahime Cosplay and Brianna DeCoster on Twitter. You can also catch me on the Initiative Order. It's not this Friday, but there will be an announcement soon for the continuation of No Turning Back, the Alien TTRPG on the Initiative Order at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, again, not this Friday, but you'll be hearing from us soon about the next episode. There's also going to be a really, really fun one-shot that I get to be a part of on the Creators Assemble on Saturday. So stay tuned for that announcement as well. And also the premiere of a really awesome campaign on Cobalt Press that I'll be doing with my friends at Blackwater D&D. That's going to be announced soon, and that's going to be 8 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. Over on Cobalt Press. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. And I'm going to pass it along to, what is it, the King of West Virginia?
Prince
Maybe.
now. Since he came back.
Yeah.
Rip Van Winkle of West Virginia. Continue.
Just getting there. You know, if you know, you know, and you're welcome. So there you go. Jay, your turn.
I don't even know what to say. I didn't know which way, but hey, Corvus is who I play, and you can call me Jay Casual. You can find me on all social media at Just2Casual, where I do all kinds of tweeting and Instagramming as I go through all kinds of stuff. But more importantly, you can find me over on Twitch at Casual Creativity, where I do video gaming and game designing. What kind of games I'm designing? As you may have heard, the anime-inspired TTRPG Deep Breath. We're hoping to do an amazing launch. Special thank you to Dragon Rock RPG Design for being amazing collaborators on a lot of the mechanics you'll see in there. We're getting ready for the sample play test for people to be able to have a chance to play just bits and pieces of it. So if you want a chance to kind of like get some of the insides on all that, you want to check out the website, deepbreathrpg.com. That's DEEP breadthrpg.com to subscribe to the newsletter, because we'll be sending out information regarding all that, including when we'll launch the Kickstarter, how you can get your own sample guide, and to get a chance to play some of Deep Breath content, which is urban fantasy. So there's guns, robots, still spell casting, and everything in between that you could bring to your table. All that's Deep Breath RPG. You can also see me, yelling at Taryn on the Cult Divinity Lost Firearms Experience. I'm also on Cybernation Uncensored, playing a super mutant samurai named Kenpachi Yasuke, who pretty much is believing that the most magical place in the world truly is Disneyland and wants to get more power in some way, shape, or form. And then later this month, there'll be some brand new campaigns that are all based in my homebrew world of Deep Breath across many different Twitch channels. So stay tuned for the updates on those. Again, Just2Casual and Deep Breath RPG to see all that happening.
And last, but certainly not the least, our little Gabo friend, Art.
Hi everyone, I'm Eddie, the Discount Bard. You can find me on all the various social medias at Discount Bard, where you can follow all my antics, where I am creating low-key adventures, characters, and fun antics in the hopes of bringing just a little bit of light to your day. You can normally find me on Twitch streaming Sea of Thieves and other various games, but this week we're doing Elden Ring, so excited to explore that for the first time and see where that ends up taking us. But today I was here as Art, our little butterball, and apparently now addicted to alcoholic smoothies and loving having Finara as a drinking buddy.
All right. And what are you all doing?
We know where we sit in the thing now, so we're just pointing to Art and doing things. Don't worry. You go look at the VOD later. You'll see what's happening.
Okay, fine. And I'm your Innkeeper and Dungeon Master, Logan Hanley. This week we got some cool stuff. Thursday, we're back in the tavern. I'm gonna be doing some brewing. Got the juices back in my brain and ready to hit the roll with that. On Saturday, afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a special collaboration with myself and 225 Games, where that Red Hare Inn will be presenting the investigation check, which is a Dungeon Master panel ran by the wonderful Garrett of 225 Games. Jay will be in it, as well as the wonderful April Stiletto, DM Charlie, and DM Jengi. And Garrett obviously hosting and running the whole thing. So yeah, tune into that. And then Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the second episode of the Tales from the Red Hare Inn. So come join us as we fight this big monster that Nate's going to throw at us that has ooze slime coming from it or something. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. But until... hang on. Pick winner. Close entries. Pick the winner. Oh, Slimmer Jade! Christine, what up? All right, we'll talk. I'll get your info, and I will get you this beautiful Eden-inspired D20. We're gonna raid Perception Studios, who's playing some D&D. Give them a big ol' hello, and give them a pint on us, the Red Hare Inn. Until next time, friends. Happy adventuring, and stay safe.
Bye, everybody.